working? Okay, good. Cool beans. This is Moses. It's a walking stick I've had for over 40 years, and her only job is to make sure I don't fall down. And she's very good at her job. Very, very good. I want to tell a story about a relationship. And it's a relationship with one of my primary teachers, or parent. I had two very damaged parents. Extremely damaged human beings. And they should never have gotten married. But they did. My father's in the Air Force. I'm one of 6 children, all 6 of us born in 6 different places. Being in the military, a military brat, as we are called, you don't build relationships with family. We went to first grade with. We don't have that stuff. And I have 2 parents. One is severely depressed and tried to commit suicide while pregnant with me. And then my father is just angry. No, angry. He comes home angry all the time. That's all he's got. That's all the energy. Angry. When his car would pull into the driveway, my heart would pound so hard because I guess I wasn't asleep. Because I knew some hell was going to drop. I thought that man rocked the earth foundation because he was just so angry all the time. He was malicious, he was mean. My parents, they just spent their energy fighting. They never taught the 6 of us how to get along, interact, help each other. We didn't learn that. And since my mother didn't me, and I'm just like my father, I got short end. I always wanted to have some kind of relationship with her, but I never could. I remember various places and times in our lives when we lived in Japan, and one of the babies died, and all of the adults walked around and never said anything to anybody. They never said anything to any of the kids. It was just a gray cloud. I remember when JFK was murdered, and we were living in Maine, and that same gray cloud happened. But I also remember after I graduated and went on with my life, I am very independent. I can only live with myself. I can't live with any other humans. I don't know how. I just don't know how. Humans move things. They make decisions. Plants. I've got a forest at my house, and I'm waiting for my service animal to come. I've had cocker spaniels and cats, and all of the animals live together. They get along together. It's only humans that live there. When I was 26, I caught a rare disease, Guillain-Barré, attacks the central nervous system, and it paralyzes you. I used to play racquetball 3 times a week and dance at the club 3 times a week. I worked for the city of Philadelphia. I worked on a demonstration project, the welfare reform demonstration project. I was a heavy hitter. I negotiated contracts with the federal government, the state government. And then my life stopped. And I'd always fought to get what I needed because I could push myself to do anything. Like the guy said, walk on water. Yes, I did. I did anything I needed to do because I had to take care of me. In that household with my parents, they tried to crush your spirit. They tried. It was like living in a concentration camp. It really was. It was really bad. But when I got out, I got to be in charge of me. So at 26, I bought my first house without a cosigner. And then at 27, I got Guillain-Barré. I had a 3-story brick house, and I couldn't go up and down the steps. I couldn't figure this thing out, right? I couldn't do this. And then I had to start asking humans to do things for me. You ask them for water. They bring the water, but they didn't open it, so you couldn't use it. And sometimes you ask them for something, and you don't know what they heard, but what they brought you back was not what you asked for. And you still had to say thank you, and you cried a lot. That was my life. So my father always came to the hospital and he talked about how he loved me. But he eventually, my parents divorced and my father married his childhood sweetheart. They'd known each other 82 years. They were married 52 years. Miss Vivian passed away 2 years ago. But when I got sick, my father would come. My father invited me to come see him 25 years ago. And I went to visit him at his home in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I thought it was just, I was going to be, I was his girl, I'm his daughter. I'm going to spend time with Daddy. That's what I thought. I must admit at the time I was having a real tough time with life and I was getting high. I was struggling because I couldn't find myself. I was struggling, I could not find myself. And so I went there and then it ended up, it wasn't him and I. He invited a younger brother that he had on the outside, you know, so it was him and the little, and then he sat at the table and told me one time I disobeyed him. And then when I went home, he never spoke again. 25 years later, which was this past April, my phone rang from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Bill needed it. I called back again. And I answered. What do you want? I want my daughter. Now, I don't know about anybody else. I'm all girl. I love women, don't get me wrong, but I'm all girl. And as a girl, I want Daddy. You know, I always think that you're supposed to have that. So when he said he wanted his daughter, I said, all right, get back to y'all. Let me see what I can do. And I rearranged my life. I had 10 days I blocked out. I said, well, I can't afford it. He said, I'll send you the money. And he did. And I got on a plane. I did this by myself. I never traveled anywhere by myself, but I did. Because this time, of course, he invited my brother, and my brother had his 3 kids with him as well. My father has a massive, massive Rottweiler, the big teddy bear, and his 4-bedroom ranch-style house was roach infested. I'd never lived in anything like that in my life. And he is the same angry, mean, malicious person he's always been. He said, I'm Daddy. Sir. He's always been sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A couple of times when I touched him and he barked at me and I went down like this, I always did. I did it twice, and then after that, I just sat back and watched. And I watched him. He was mean and malicious to my brother. He was disrespectful to his son in front of his children. He said the dog was more important than his son, who was his last child. See, I stayed 10 days. He told me that I wasn't independent and that all of the mean things that he'd ever done to me, I told him about. He said he didn't remember. Of course he didn't. I said, it's okay. Took him to the airport. I hugged him. I got on the plane. I landed in Brooklyn. I got a lift to go home. From the lift, I called him, Daddy, I'm in Brooklyn. I'll talk to you later. For the next week and a half, he never answered any of my calls. Then I sent him a letter because he was concerned what was going to happen to his dog. Because my father was very sick. He's 91 years old. He's sick. He lives there by himself, him and the dog. And he's fallen many times. And if the police are ever called, they will put down the dog because they have to get to him. Because the dog is going to be the dog. I wrote him and told him, don't worry. I and Lamar, we would take care of him. Dog knows us, loves us. We take care of the dog no matter what. I wrote him this letter.
It's okay.
In March, I wrote the letter. The letter came back 5 weeks later. Returned to sender. Refused. And that's when I realized I'm 68 years old. I don't need a daddy. I'm fine. I'm an awesome man. I take care of myself. I manage all of my needs. I'm kind and giving to everybody. I never had a daddy, and I don't need a daddy now. And he lost that because I look like him. I have a fire like him. I can cook like him. And all the girls like me, like they like him. And I thank you very much.
Completely unrelated news.